Now I know all of you have been asking, when is there going to be more Mahjong? Well, the wait is finally over, and in many ways, it's a good representation of the Mahjong games that will be popular on the PC Engine. Wai Wai Mahjong is by Video System, a game company that there's a very good chance that you've never heard of. They were more focused on the arcade side of things, and their very first title was Ojanko Yakata, or Lingerie House. Yeah, they're one of those game companies. Strip Mahjong games were their bread and butter, but they did make a few other things. Their best known game is probably Sonic Wings, otherwise known as Aero Fighters in the US. I wouldn't exactly call that a well-known game. As an arcade-focused company, Video System doesn't release a whole lot of PC Engine games, but they do port a few of their arcade games over. Wai Wai Mahjong is not originally an arcade game though. It's just based on the same system as their Mahjong arcade games. The title Wai Wai Mahjong comes from the Japanese onomatopoeia of the sound that a boisterous crowd makes. A background sound of excitement. If you're not familiar with Mahjong, welcome to the channel. I have an extensive backlog of videos covering the entire libraries of several Japanese consoles. And you might not be familiar with what Mahjong is. Mahjong in some variant is the most popular gambling game in Asia. Conceptually, it's very similar to Rummy. Every turn you draw a tile, and then you discard a tile. You're trying to make sets of 3 or runs of 3. You're hoping your opponents discard something that you can pick up. And once all of your tiles play, you go out. The version of Mahjong that's popular in Japan is Richi Mahjong, which adds a wrinkle on top of requiring that your hand fulfill certain conditions before you're allowed to go out. Mahjong is an absurdly popular topic for video games, and there's quite literally thousands of them. While Mahjong is normally played with 4 players at a table, for video games a 2-player variant was a popular choice. As I mentioned, Wai Wai Mahjong is very similar to other Video System arcade Mahjong games. You choose an opponent, and then you play one-on-one hands against them, hopefully knocking them out by forcing their points into the negative, or just having more points than them at the end of 4 hands. There are 12 possible opponents in the game, and in normal mode, which ones you select from depends on the difficulty you're playing at. In normal mode, you're just playing a single match against someone. And on easy difficulty, the game will even tell you what to discard, though you don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. Knockout mode is the real heart of the game, something close to an arcade mode. You can choose to play it with special items, or just ignore them entirely. You can purchase these items in between opponents, and the points that you score as you play will earn you money. These items can switch a tile out, let you have one more chance if it's a draw, or see your opponent's hand. These items are all consumable, so you can use them once, and then they're gone forever. Wai Wai World will always prompt you when there's an opportunity to use one as well. When you're playing a hand of Mahjong, button 1 will draw and select tiles to discard, while button 2 brings up a menu of possibilities. That's where you can choose to pick up an opponent's discard, or announce that you're going out. Though this game won't let you choose an option if it's not valid, so no automatically losing your hand if you declare that you've won when you haven't. The opponents all have distinct personalities, and there's a little bit of dialogue with them as you play, though not a whole lot. If you manage to defeat an opponent, then you get a password so that you can continue from there, and once you defeat all 12 opponents, you win. Because there are thousands of Mahjong video games, it takes a lot to make one stand out and get noticed. And Wai Wai Mahjong definitely did not get noticed. The only people who seem to be aware of the game at all are Japanese streamers who play every Mahjong game, and they don't seem to be especially fond of it. My own feeling is that putting it in the context of the middle of 1989, Wai Wai Mahjong is actually an above-average Mahjong title for the time. At the very least, it has more personality than a lot of the games. But it's also one of those games where time has passed it by. Even before we reach the end of the PC Engine library, we're going to see better, more full-featured Mahjong titles. Wai Wai Mahjong did what it needed to do at the time, but it didn't do enough to make a lasting impression.